Hey everyone, it's Sue here. I'm going to do a tag today called the Snob-O-Meter Tag. So this is a newish one that's going around. This one is created by That Reading Guy 28, and I was tagged by Pat at Book Chat with Pat. So this one is a fun one where we are going to look into our deepest, darkest bookish feelings and discuss the snob inside, okay? I've read over these questions already, but I did not write anything down, so this is all off the top of my head, except for I just kind of got a little inkling of what these questions are about, and they made me laugh. It's going to be funny or interesting or something. I don't know what. Number one, what is your definition of book snobbery? Okay, my definition of book snobbery would be people who think they are better than other people because of the kinds of books they read. People who look down on certain kinds of books. People who think that something does not count as reading because it's not for them, okay? Any of that would be considered book snobbery to me. Or somebody who thinks they are so well read because they have read certain books from a certain list or something, okay? All those, yeah. Number two, is there a genre or type of book you would never consider reading? Such as, would you ever read a romance? Or a science fiction novel? Are there seriously people out there who, I mean, I know people have this weird thing against romances, but do people say, I will never read science fiction for real? Okay, is there a genre or type of book you would never consider reading? The only thing I would maybe say is erotica. I think that's self-explanatory, why I would not maybe want to read that. Horror, I don't say I'll never read it. I mean, I have some horror right here in my pile right here to read. So, I mean, I'm going to give it a try on certain ones. There's some of them that I might not read. It's not like I say I will never read it. Do you know what I'm saying? Does erotica count as literature? Speaking of, I guess it does. I mean, anything that's written is literature, right? So if you've written a story, then that's literature. So yes, it does. Number four, is it better to read classic books than popular bestsellers? No. No, it is not better to read classic than popular bestsellers. What is the best thing to do is to read widely from all the things. That's the best thing. There's no better or best. Okay, it's a matter of preference. It's all subjective, whatever. Classics are great, and you shouldn't ignore the classics. But you shouldn't say, I am better because I read classics and I will not read popular fiction. No, don't do that. Okay, number five, have you ever bragged about reading a classic in order to sound smart? Not that I know of. I can't even imagine really doing this. I might have talked about a book I've read, but I wouldn't want to think that it's bragging, and I definitely wouldn't assume that it makes me seem smart, because that would be funny. That's never going to happen. I hope when I've talked about certain books I've read, it doesn't come off as bragging. That's what I want to say here. People always ask, have you lied about reading a book? I've never done that either. Like, I don't even understand why you would do that. But some people have done that, I guess. Sometimes I can't remember if I've read a book, and I think maybe I have and maybe I haven't. But that's a whole different issue. Number six, do audiobooks count as reading? And what about comic books or graphic novels? So here's the thing about audiobooks. We need to make sure that we think about the verbs we are using. So audiobooks count. They absolutely count. It's hard to say you read an audiobook because reading is the act of moving your eyes across words. Audiobooks you listen to. Both of them you consume a book, okay? So that's the only thing that I say about audiobooks and reading. Print books is one is reading, one is listening. Both are consuming, and it counts. If you consume a book, it counts. People who are blind and do Braille, of course it counts. They're not using their eyes, they're using their fingers. Audiobooks are not using your eyes, it's using your ears. So the word we should use is consuming a book, or putting a book into our brain by however we do it. That counts. And you absolutely mark it down as something that you accomplished and did for your year-end goal or whatever. But we listen to audiobooks and we read print books. That's the only thing that I always say to try and clarify that whole argument, I guess. I don't know. Does that make sense? And do comic books and graphic novels count as reading? Of course they do. Duh. It's reading. Reading is reading. Just because there's more pictures, this makes it better, is all I'm thinking. you can consume them fast and easy. That doesn't mean it's not reading if it takes you a lot shorter amount of time to go through something. You know, count it. Do picture books count as reading? Yes, that's not even on here, but picture books count as reading also. Number 7, have you ever looked down at someone for reading a popular fluff book? A book with little substance to it, for example, a self-help book or a celebrity memoir. Have I looked down on them? No. Do I feel like I'm sometimes looked down on because I do? Yes. I've been feeling this lately. I said it in another video. I don't know if you saw that one. And nobody's particularly said anything. It's just that I'm realizing I do read a lot of these kinds of books because it makes me happy. It gets me through, you know, these rough days or whatever. I think it should be okay, and nobody should look down on anybody for reading anything that they want. Personally, I don't think I ever have, but I do feel it sometimes that I'm looked down on. And I talk about celebrity memoirs a lot because that's what I like to listen to, and I've never even considered that I'm being looked down on. Am I being looked down on for reading those? People. Okay, number 8, have you ever been the recipient of somebody else's snobbery? Well, I was just saying I feel like maybe sometimes I am looked down on. I don't have any specific true examples of this. Oh, I do remember having a discussion with my brother-in-law once. Man, what is happening outside? I hope everyone's okay. I hope. Is something on fire out there? I did have a discussion with my brother-in-law once where he basically looked down on all fiction, and it was one of those discussions I know many of us have had where he just said nonfiction is better, fiction is dumb, and you can't learn anything from fiction. And I was so angry I didn't even know what to say. Like my mind goes blank and I can't think of any good retorts, you know, or any rebuttals or whatever. So I don't know if that was necessarily snobbery or just somebody who doesn't understand how this all works. I don't know. Number 9, would you ever be friends with a snob? Or maybe you already are. I mean, yes, I would be friends with people. I don't shut people out of my life because of something like this. But I definitely would be annoyed, and I probably would have some quote-unquote discussions about it now and then. Number 10, are people who don't read less sophisticated than people who do? Well, this is an interesting one because I have looked down on people who don't read. I don't know if I would use the word sophisticated, maybe educated, maybe, I don't know what the right word is. I feel sad for people who don't read. I don't understand why they don't read. I wish everyone could read and could find some sort of balance in life and add it to their life. It doesn't have to be like a ton, but I feel bad for those people. I don't know if they're less sophisticated, but they are definitely a different type of person. Let's just say that. I just don't know what the word is. Number 11, here's the interesting thing. Measure yourself. Based on your answers to the previous 10 questions, would you qualify as a book snob? I feel like based on my answers, I would not qualify. There are some moments when I might tend that direction. Like if you can't have a conversation with somebody because they haven't read anything, sometimes that is very eye-opening. But yeah, I don't think I'm a snob. I read all the things and I don't look down on anyone for what they read, as far as I know. And I feel like we should all be reading all the things, and we shouldn't limit ourselves to any one particular kind of book, including audiobooks. And now I've talked about my reluctance to jump into that, but I have been trying a little bit. I have added it to my life and for certain things. So even in that, I am doing better. And graphic novels, I've added that more to my life. I want to read some manga this year, which, you know, is probably considered in the comic book category, graphic novel category. Yeah, so because it just opens up a whole other world and it's amazing. So you just don't limit yourself. That's my whole spiel on book snobbery. Hope you've enjoyed this one. If you haven't done this one and you want to and it sounds fun, go ahead and do it. I will try to think of some people to tag in the description and have fun with it. Until next time, happy reading. Bye.